Hello everyone, and welcome to my GPD video number 6 on step 2 called Meaningful Engagement. In the previous video, we talked about reflection pieces using the tools, the Individual Development Plan, and the resource book that Dr. Reinhard Reitmar and I wrote. And now we're going to focus on the step 2, which is meaningful engagement, and two various tools you can use for that. And then step 3 will be in my other videos. So meaningful engagement, here it is. Life is short, do stuff that matters. But how do you pick the ones that matter? How do you pick the ones that are meaningful to you? Because, well, the campus has tons of resources and so do activities outside. So how do you do that? So here are some tools for you. First, the two books that I highly recommend is The Power of Meaning by Emily Esfahani-Smith and Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. And Bill Burnett and Dave Evans are the ones that are teaching the Design Your Life course at Stanford, which I went to in 2017 for their Life Design Studio for educators. The other tool is on iBiology. There's a course called Discovering Your Scientific Journey. And that is a course where if you want to figure out how to ask your research question or develop a hypothesis, they take you through that process, and then you can go through that and then bring your proposal to your PI so that your ideas are also embedded in with your thesis research question. The other tool is the Golden Circle, Wayfinding, and Growth Mindset Theory. Now, Growth Mindset Theory is about how it just takes practice and lots of practice to get to where you are. And no matter how you think you're not very good at some sort of skill, as long as you keep practicing and you keep an open mind for feedback, that you can be an expert in anything. I think it takes about 10,000 hours to be an expert in something. So that's a growth mindset theory. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Golden Circle, which is Simon Sinek's The Power of Why. He has over 30 million views on TED Talk. I highly recommend. But essentially, he summarizes that successful individuals, such as Martin Luther King, the Wright brothers, companies such as Apple, the Disney company, they all share this central dogma, and that is the Golden Circle. And this is what it is. On the outer circle is the what, the inner circle is the how, and the most inner circle is the why. So I'll illustrate with an example. Let's say I have a product, and it's a snowman stuffy. That's the what. Will you buy it? Probably not, because there's tons of stuffies out there. But now I'm going to tell you it is locally made, it's hypoallergenic, and it's hypoallergenic and it's locally made. So now you know how it's made. So maybe you'll buy it if you're from that town that it was made in. But now I'm going to tell you a story about two sisters, and one was born with the power of snow and ice, and when her little sister was about 6 years old, she accidentally zaps her, and when she's about 15, she gets coordinated, goes to the mountains, and zap, there's Olaf the snowman. Now Olaf has a story, so now Olaf is flying off the shelves. So here you have the why of Olaf existing. So what does this have to do with you? You want to apply the Golden Circle to all of these things, your science experiments, your grant writing, networking, cover letters, storytelling, when you're doing that outreach, your 3-minute thesis, they should all cover the why. Why do you want to work for our company? Why do you want to do this research? Why are you at this event? What do you hope to achieve? And what can you offer us? Okay, so that's the why is something you should always keep in mind. Another tool is wayfinding, and wayfinding is a tool for finding your purpose. Now, if you want to go into great details of these 3 circles, the Science Individual Development Plan actually helps you with that. But this is a very quick way that you can do at home with your friends, family, with your classmates. And this is called the Purpose Compass, or finding your purpose compass. So what you do is you get a stack of Post-its with 3 different colors. The first color, let's say blue, you're going to write all those items that you love to do. So what makes you feel alive? What do you like to do in your free time? And so for each Post-it, you're going to have in each idea. So for example, you might say baking, next Post-it. Writing, next Post-it. Watching films, next Post-it. And you brainstorm all those ideas in 1 minute. Then you go to the next one, which is your strengths and skills. What are you good at? or would like to become good at, and think about what is traditionally recognized, such as grades. So you brainstorm with another stack of Post-its, a different color. And then another stack, you talk about what you care about. What problems do you feel moved by? Think about your community, your family, the wider world, your country. So at the end of it, you're going to have a stack of Post-its from each category. And then what you do with that is that you make trios out of this. So in class, if you're going to take my GPD class, or if you're running a workshop, what you would do is you would have individuals write out these Post-it stacks for 1 minute while you play the music that we talked about. And after the minute, the music stops, and then they go on to the next category. Students put trios together, and then we work in teams to brainstorm ideas to come up with meaningful engagements based on those trios. So I will give you an example. This particular student, this is her trio. Environment care, the strength was I'm social. So if people have told you that you're social, you probably are, and love to eat. So an idea they came up with was I could volunteer at a farm that provides for local markets and finds ways to minimize food waste. Here's another one, helping people, organized leader, love to write. So this idea was I could start a blog with some friends on ways that we can empower ourselves, such as in social innovation, such as anti-cyberbullying and equity. Now, when you're brainstorming, I'm going to give you some tips. Okay, so brainstorming with your team. When you're coming up with these ideas, you want to come up with wild and crazy ideas. So you want to come out of your comfort zone. You don't want to think, oh, I can't do that because of A, B, or C. When you're generating ideas, you want to be as free from sort of these norms that you encounter every day. So for example, these ideas could be such as, oh, I want to be prime minister. Realistically, it might not happen in the next 6 months. However, you can tame that idea down into something that's more feasible. So for an example would be, well, I want to know what it's like to be a politician. So why not have an informational interview with your local counselor person? So that's more reasonable. It's more attainable towards that goal of being in politics. So the 4 rules of brainstorming is you want to go for wild and crazy ideas. You want to go for volume. So the number of ideas you have on Post-its is going to be lots, as many as possible. And then you want to defer judgment. You can't tell other team members that's not a good idea. And you want to have generative ideas. So if one team member says one idea, you can build on top of that idea. And how are these ideas generated? Is if you have a team of 4, you're going to write down your ideas and say it out loud and put the Post-it on next to the trio. And then the next person may say an idea. And you want to just build. There's no order. You just keep on building on those ideas. So that's an effective way of brainstorming. Then afterwards, the team members go and vote on their most delightful idea. And then the person, the owner of the trio, can either pick the one that has the most delightful idea, that got the most number of votes, or they can pick an idea that they thought really resonated with them. This is an exercise we do in class, and it's highly recommended to do in a group activity as opposed to by yourself. So I talked about having an informational interview. So what is an informational interview? So for example, the previous one that I talked about, the previous example about becoming prime minister, well, perhaps you want to have an informational interview with a politician. So an informational interview is trying to find somebody that's out there that is doing a job that is similar to the job you may want to achieve, or close to that job that you want to achieve, or even that job that you want to get to. And then you're asking them questions on how they got there and if they had any help along the way. So video number 7, I'm going to be going through tips on those informational interviews.